So today we have a leaky radiator, and what are we going to do to repair it? So we're in this new build house and this radiator is already burst from the seams, not necessarily from the valves. I've checked the valves, no issue, and what you can see here is it dripping just where it's rusted. So you can see that the seams actually faulted, and what we're going to do today is repair this. Welcome to Dim Tips, the channel that repairs, revives and restores. Now there's a few options that we could have done. We could have done a quick bodge job and fixed the actual rad itself, and there's plenty of products out there, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to replace this radiator, but without draining the system and trying to fix it without actually opening up, pulling all the water out of this, the whole unit, and then replacing it. So what you got here is a TVR and a valve. What you can do is you can turn it off. It's not the safest way, but it will stop water flowing into the radiator as well as from the valve itself, and just doing that by using any kind of pliers or something that would be useful there. But once it's turned off and anti-clockwise, what you'll notice is that the dripping should subside. What I do have, because it's push fit connectors, just for a little bit of safety, let's say something happens, I've got some stops there, and what I can do is quickly stick them on should there be any kind of issues with the push fit. Just a bit worried that something would happen. So here's the rad. To replace it, I actually picked up exactly the same size. Didn't want to worry about any of the brackets or anything like that, so just picked up a rad exactly the same size. You can pick one up from Screwfix, sometimes from eBay, wherever you like. You can pick up a second-hand rad, but you just got to be careful with the quality. Aluminium would probably be best because less likely to rust, but I just picked up a steel one. Should be better quality than what's actually put in. First thing you want to do is where the brackets are, you sometimes have some kind of brace. You want to remove that. We don't need to worry about the brackets. Want to make sure wherever you've got any open items for the rads, just pull out any stoppers or anything else that's out there. We're going to be putting in some valves and whatnot, so what you want to do is you just want to open them up. Here you go. So you've got just the top of the radiator, so you've got air release. So you know, if you get stuck with air in there, and then you've got to effectively stopper on the other side. So what I do is I'll put PTFE tape around it. I normally go for around about 16 to 20. What you want is you want a nice tight grip fit when you've got it into the radiator. So I try, and 20 times is more than enough. You get a really probably quite a tight fit, but just gauge it. If it's not quite tight when you're actually putting it in, then just make sure you add in a little bit of extra PTFE tape. So I've just placed it on to see, well, you know, is it going to give me enough give? Looks good for now. I'm going to do it all in the cardboard. Here's me, you know, just tightening it slightly. You don't want to over tighten it, but just enough, because there's going to be a rubber seal, a rubber O-ring over the top of it, so you don't want to over tighten it. But you can always do that a little bit afterwards. So here you go. This goes into the bottom of the radiators. So I've got smaller ones, got longer ones. I decided to take some smaller ones. Again, you want to PTFE tape them, because what's going to happen is you're going to have an olive and a nut, which is for a compression joint, that's going to stick against the valve or the TVR. And what you want to do is you want to just make sure that this goes into the rad, so that it's nice and tight. Again, around about 16 or 17 to 18 rolls around from PTFE tape. Just done it all on the cardboard side, so that not messing up the carpet or anything like that. You can see I've just made sure that there's some waterproof behind this, and now what I'm going to do is going to release the valve itself. Just be careful when you're untightening it that you've got it securely locked in with another pair of either clamps or some adjustable pliers. What you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of water coming out. Just make sure you've got something to catch all that water. I did release the valve of the rad a little bit higher at the top, so it can let the water out. If you really get stuck, you just want to keep the valve quite close by, so you can just tighten it again. in case there's any kind of issues. So I've got a couple of pots and pans. I completely let it just drip. I just wanted to make sure I got everything out because I didn't want to make a mess on the new carpet. Do the same thing with the TVR. TVR you want to be a little bit more cautious with, because any kind of movement, if that TVR pops off, that's it. That's open, fully open. You should actually have a little stopper there. So what I've done is I put a new compression joint on with an olive, and I've done it on both sides. You don't have to add in PTFE tape, but I just, once or twice around the other side, just feel a little bit happier and secure. Just didn't want anything to be an issue. So what I've done is added in now the new rad, added in the compression joints onto the valve, just added them back on, just slot in quite nicely. Just making sure that everything's a-okay. Just be very, very careful with the TVR. You do not want that to open up. If it pops out, that's it. You're going to have a lot of water coming through. So just be a bit careful. So what I'm going to do again is just securely hold it from one side and then tighten it with the adjustable spanner. They're all nice and tight. Want to open up the air valve, and then what you want to do is you want to then open up the valves, let some of the water in. What you may need to do is refill the system.